and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. And now the night out. You're tuning in to Wrestle Talk. 657-383-1522. WWE, NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH, Fantasy Wrestling. We have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard. And I'm Joe Land. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms in the vehicle at all times. Wrestle Talk begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride.
Go for it, Joe.
What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today for another edition of Wrestle Talk? Ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestle Talk Podcast. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Tonight we have a show for you. We've got two ladies from Girl Fight Wrestling coming on to the show. We got Kayla Kassidy and we've got Charlie Kruel. They're going to be talking about their matches coming up in Charleston, West Virginia next month, very, very soon. I am so excited about that. And of course, I am joined by the hostess with the mostest, the one and only Drake Lee. I mean, the maestro.
What?
The maestro.
I'm heartbroken. I mean, first off, I'm just happy because, folks, I am hosting with the OG of the WTP. It doesn't get much better than that, does it? I don't think so.
Not
personally.
really. Not really.
How you doing, Joe?
Good, about yourself. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And like you said, we got some amazing guests tonight. We got Kayla Kassidy, we got Charlie Kruel, and you're not too far away from where that event's going to take place next month. I know you're getting excited for it.
Oh yeah, I've already got my tickets. I've already got, speaking of shoot and shout, freaking the Red Roof Inn. I booked my motel at the Red Roof Inn. Everything was good to go, and then last week they called and they had to cancel my reservation because they said they were doing renovations. So we had to find another hotel, and now we're staying at the Ramada Inn, which is like, I don't know, not too far away from where the venue is. So we're pretty excited. I'm gonna be there. Hardcore House is gonna be there. It's gonna be all kinds of fun. Afterwards, we gonna leave the arrives at the hotel so that we can go to the after party.
Oh yeah, kick it Herb Abrams style, right?
That's right. That's right. He's my idol.
Oh, could have fooled me on that one.
That man, you talk about a man that lived life to the fullest. That was Herb Abrams.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to say speaking of Herb Abrams, but this will kind of segue into what I want to kind of talk about in our high spots. So, Are you ready for some high spots?
Let's do it.
All righty. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. We got to do the anthem, Joe. I mean, everybody, please rise. Remove your caps as we salute the greatest country on the face of the earth. And that's America, damn it.
Damn it.
Oh, say, can you see any red flag? I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
There's a tear in my eye every single time.
Brings disappointment to my ears every single time because I'm still holding out hope that one day you'll finish it. Just holding out.
It's never gonna
Yeah.
happen. It's never
Okay,
gonna
well,
happen.
actually, before we do get to high spots, let's get these sponsors out here because they are so important to the success of the Wrestle Talk podcast, just like all of you tuning in every single week. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. So, as for our sponsors, we'd like to thank Everything Combat, Kincaid, the Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter Streams Productions, and, of course, the FWWC. Now then, I believe it's time, my friend, that we delve into some high spots because this week in the world of wrestling has been crazy.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like red chop and talk shop. Coming through the screen of a laptop and non-stop fucking runners leaving the blacktop. We hit hard like care shots and backdrops. On the spark flash, feel like a belly flop that ass hard. We up the speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know we about to start the show.
What a great intro. What you got?
Absolutely. Well, first, I do want to say, if you want to join this show, just drop a message on the StreamYard to John Haas, and we would love to have you on the show because there's so much to talk about. We got amazing guests. This whole show is going to be so kick-ass. Like, oh my gosh. Now, I had mentioned before that when we were talking about Herb Abrams a little bit, Herb Abrams was on an episode of Dark Side of the Ring. So, I have to ask you, Joe, did you watch the Brian Pillman episode, the first episode of season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring?
Absolutely. My goodness. Brian Pillman. That man was an absolute genius. This man legit convinced Eric Bischoff to fire him so he could go to the WWF and then come back to the WCW to make more money. I mean, he had it all planned out, and the car accident is the one thing that started this spiral of Brian Pillman. And I didn't know that he had 3 kids with 3 different wives.
I didn't know that either.
That. I did not know that.
That was a big shock.
Yeah,
Really
he was definitely a ladies' man.
Oh, he got the flowing hair and everything, man. He used to play football, so I mean, what do you expect? But no, I think, and this is the thing, like, you know, with Brian Pillman, he had a very acrobatic, high-flying style early in his career, especially when he was teaming up with Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, that car accident in '96 really just, and we're not going to spoil so much of the documentary because, you know, we highly recommend it. It's a 2-parter. A lot of people from WWF or WWE and WCW, and of course the GOAT, Jim Cornette. And, you know, you could tell it took a toll on him physically, obviously, as well as mentally. And it just led to a downward spiral. And it's unfortunate because he had such a great future ahead of him. But he actually, in my opinion, is one of those early catalysts for the Attitude Era. You know, for the whole Pillman's Got a Gun segments, you know, with Stone Cold. And just his nature of going crazy on the shoots, doing promos and such. I mean, it's kind of an underrated, overlooked scope of the Attitude Era. Most people say it started, you know, in '97 after he had already passed. But honestly, for me, I think it was in 1996, around the time he started to really gain that traction and Stone Cold really, you know, started to rise to the top. So I think 96 to me was when things really started to heat up for the WWF. And Brian Pillman to me was a big part of that.
He was. He definitely was. A lot of people were impacted by his wrestling style and his character. The thing about Brian Pillman is you didn't know if what was going on was real or if it was part of the angle. You never knew
Yes.
what was going to happen, and so many people when he had passed thought that this was just another stunt pulled by Brian Pillman, and when it wasn't, that's when it kind of hit him, and it was just wow. I didn't realize that there was so much into it until I watched the Dark Side of the Ring, and I was just like, wow. He knew that in order to get to where he wanted to be in pro wrestling, he had to change his character 100%, and that's what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said at the beginning of all this, how he kind of pushed those limits. He convinced Bischoff to fire him. Go WWF, come back. All while doing promos, vignettes in ECW, not even wrestling
Mm-hmm.
for them, but still doing those vignettes. And he became an enigma. He really became. To me, he would have been perfect in the '60s because he had that kind of appearance and attitude of a counterculture figure, and that's why I think he was a big part for that, for the Attitude Era and just the whole thing of the Monday Night Wars. And this upcoming Thursday, the next episode of season 3 will be about a man who considers himself the king of the death match, Nick Gage.
Fucking Nick Gage. Don't just say Nick Gage. Do not
I
just say
wanted
Nick
you to
Gage.
say it like that.
If you're gonna say Nick Gage, you were going to say fucking Nick Gage, because
Okay.
Nick
All right.
Gage
I'll say
is
it.
the man.
Next episode is about the self-proclaimed king of the deathmatch, fucking Nick Gage.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. So there we
Exactly.
go. And I'm excited for that one too because come on, it's about death matches and blood and hardcore wrestling and things like that. And speaking of hardcore wrestling, let's talk about last week's AEW Dynamite, which featured the blood and guts match between, and I know you got some opinions about this one, between the Pinnacle and the one, the only Inner Circle.
It seems that AEW has this issue with they put on absolutely amazing matches. Their matches are absolutely amazing, and then you get the ending of the match. And the ending of the match is not so great. Like, for instance, the whole Bald Rider match, okay? The match was absolutely amazing. The Exploding Bald Rider match was amazing. The ending, not so much. Last week, the Blood and Guts match was amazing. The ending was not so amazing. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want Chris Jericho to fall off of the steel cage onto concrete. Okay?
Yes, you do.
And yes,
Don't lie to yourself.
and yes, I realize that Matt Hardy hit his head on the concrete. That's not why we were mad about Matt Hardy. People trying to compare people being mad about this and people being mad about Chris Jericho. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
But the Matt Hardy, it wasn't planned. He had a concussion. He was knocked out. The match should have ended. This one, he got tossed off of the cage and he falls onto an air mattress that had cardboard on it. Now, if they had just done the area shot of him falling and hitting and then ended it that way, it would have been fine. But instead, they decided to do a close-up of it, and you could see the cardboard. It's just...
Yeah. They kind of dropped the ball on that one. They really
Exactly.
did.
Now, nobody wanted Chris Jericho to fall 20, 30 feet on the concrete. He's not Mankind. That's something that Mankind would have done.
Yeah. This is the thing. I enjoyed the match, and I think if there's any wrestler that really shined the most out of it, I mean, it has to be Sammy Guevara, because first off, Chris Jericho could have gotten beaten senseless in this match for 25 minutes, and he'd still come out looking like a freaking beast. So, but Sammy
Right.
Guevara is such an important part of this whole storyline. Remember, he was the one that was outed of the inner circle because he felt there was a conspiracy going on. He's the one that revealed MJF was secretly trying to backstab Chris Jericho and the inner circle. He's the central piece of all this. And he was the one that said, look, I'll go in there to start it off. Bring whoever you got, bring whoever you want, and I'll take them on. And he kicked ass in that match, in my opinion. So, and I think it was good that the Pinnacle won for the sake of the storyline. For the sake of advancing this, I think it's great. MJF is just top-notch at what he does. Everybody played their part so well. And like I said, like you said, I should say, the ending was a little disappointing, but in the grand scheme of things, the match as a whole was the reason, and this is big, that AEW Dynamite was the #1 show on all of cable television last Wednesday.
Yeah.
#1 show. Now, let's really think about that. When's the last time, especially in recent memory, that a wrestling show has been #1? It's been a hot minute. It really has. And this isn't us trying to dog WWE. It's not trying to dog Impact or anything. It's just, I feel like, it is kind of a thing where before AEW came into the picture, we did not have that, or WWE did not have that competition, so they didn't really have to step up the game, raise that bar, if you will. So rating-wise, it wasn't as successful. But now, the ratings are really starting to get up there. Every night of the week, we have wrestling, which is so awesome. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, so to be the #1 show, and especially #1 in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic, massive. So props to AEW for that.
Yeah.
And we're going to segue into that because we also have some big news that has just come out recently. AEW, and this is big considering the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. AEW announced recently that they are returning to touring in July.
Yes.
Now, they were supposed to come out here in St. Louis at the Chaffetz Arena back in, I believe it was April, so I think last month, or it might have been last April. Nevertheless, they were supposed to be out here, and it didn't happen. They're going to reschedule that date. They're going to reschedule all their touring dates. And WWE is, it doesn't seem like it's affecting their plans of what to do in the future. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Joe, on, AEW getting back on the road. I know, out in West Virginia, a lot of local promotions are starting to get things rolling with wrestling shows. And out here, WLW, Dynamo Pro, which we'll be talking about, in the future about them returning to having shows. So I just want to get your thought on AEW returning to touring.
I think it's really, really good. I'm really, really happy for them. I know that they were very, really successful with their touring that they were doing with AEW Dynamite. I was fortunate enough to actually be at the first ever Dynamite, so it was actually pretty cool. Yeah, it's wrestling's making its comeback 100%. Some wrestling companies, still haven't came back. Some have already been back for quite some time. In my area, you've got most of the promotions are starting to come back. I'm gonna be really, really, really busy this summer because I'm booking not one, not two, not three, but 4 promotions. Yeah. And
Oh my God.
one runs a promotion every 2 weeks. I've got a promotion this weekend that's they're making their return. So I've got a show on Friday and Saturday. So yeah, I'm a pretty busy guy. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's gonna get really intense, and I know for me, at Interstate 70 Sports, we want to cover a lot of the local promotions. And out here in St. Louis, let me tell you, holy shit, do we have a lot of them. And we got Anarchy, which our first guest, Kayla Kassidy, knows pretty well.
Cool.
We have Dynamo Pro, we have Glory Pro, WLW. And hell, we got a league about extreme midget wrestling, for crying out loud. I got a whole bookmark about nothing but local promotions in the area. And it just has a list of all of them. Like, that's what I love. There's literally a website just dedicated to telling you all these local events. It was just depressing that for the longest time you didn't see any because of everything going on.
Yep.
But before we have Kayla on, I have one quick question for you, Joe.
Okay.
It's just one quick question. What the hell has happened to Jeff Hardy? Like,
Jeff
seriously.
Hardy?
He's a jobber now. He lost to Jinder Mahal, not just on Raw, on main events.
I mean,
main event, though.
He's not a jobber. They're trying to rebuild Jinder Mahal. So stop tearing up your room. They're trying to rebuild Jinder Mahal, and the way that they're doing it is by having him face, likes of Jeff Hardy. What makes it look better? Him beating Jeff Hardy or him beating a guy Joe Schmo that we've never heard of? What makes it look better?
You could say either one. Yes, beating Jeff Hardy, fine, especially on Raw. Why is Jeff Hardy wrestling on main event? Save those guys like Joe Schmo, the guys from catering, save them for main event. Then have Jinder Mahal go on Raw and face Jeff Hardy.
But if Jinder Mahal faced Joe Schmo on main event, nobody would care that he won. But yet he faced Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy won. He faced Jeff Hardy, and what are you doing? You're talking about Jinder Mahal because why? He beat Jeff Hardy, so therefore they did their job.
Okay, I respect your opinion. I just, it's weird to me to see, especially considering it wasn't too long ago Jeff Hardy was in the title picture on SmackDown, and then now he's on this. So maybe it's just how fast this decline as far as appearances go, But, it is what it is. That being said, I think it is time for our first guest to be on. What do you say?
Absolutely. You want to do the honors or you want me to do the honors?
I would love to do the honors.
All right.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, she has made her professional wrestling debut nearly 2 years ago. She has competed for many promotions throughout the U.S., including the 01 USA, Paradigm Pro Wrestling, the IWA Mid-South, and most notably here, Girl Fight Wrestling, which we're going to be talking about plenty tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestle Talk podcast, Kayla Kassidy. How's it going, Kayla?
Good. Can you see me and hear me?
We can see you. We can hear you. How you doing?
We can hear you loud and clear.
What is it?
We said we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. I'm using my laptop for once. I usually use like if I do like podcasts and stuff, I'm always like using my phone. But I got a new laptop not too long ago, so this is my first time actually using it for it.
Nice.
Perfect time to use it. We're
Perfect
honored. I'll
time.
tell you that much.
Exactly. So I guess I'll go ahead and start it off. How did you get involved in professional wrestling?
So I grew up watching it since like the age, since the age of like 5-ish, but it's kind of funny because like when I was really young like that, my parents wouldn't let me stay up late to watch like Raw and stuff. But when I was like 13, 14. And so I started watching it with my dad and brother. And then that's when I kind of fell in love with it and decided that that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I was like really like drawn to like Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels and RVD and Rey Mysterio.
Okay, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much everybody has that same answer that they all just grew up watching watching wrestling, and you actually got into professional wrestling and you became a wrestler. And as I was looking through your matches, there was one person that I've seen that you faced multiple times, and that is a lady by the name of Thunder Kitty.
Yeah, we've wrestled multiple times. It was mostly at IWA, and then we wrestled at, I think it's called BMFX. I think it was last summer when I wrestled her on that one. But yeah, I love wrestling her. She's so fun. And she's so helpful too. She's so helpful. And she's always willing to like, if we're on the same show together and we're not actually working each other, she's always willing to like watch my matches and give me feedback. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. I'm gonna go ahead, Jeremy. I know that you have a bunch of questions, so why don't you come on in here with whatever questions that you have.
Okay, awesome. So, Kayla, I have to say, first, for the audience listening, we got to talk about this event. Girl Fight Wrestling, Saturday, June 12th at Campbell's Creek at Skateland. I mean, how does it feel being, I believe, are you involved in this event? We're going to be tuning into it.
Me?
Yes.
Had you heard about the
Sorry,
event?
my volume kind of like, my volume was messing up for a second. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be on the, so far that I know of, I'll be on the event. For
Awesome.
for the past 3 months, I've been out with a shoulder injury that I received during a match. So I've been like undergoing like physical therapy and stuff like that. So that's going to be my first match back. So.
Well,
Nice.
I mean, I tell you, it's a hell of a event to be a part of, to return from an injury. I mean, we've been talking about it for the past few weeks on this show because it is a 3-day event in general. And, Nightmare Jones over there, we've been talking, and, him and Haas are going out there, and it's going to be a big time crowd. And, like we said on High Spots, wrestling is finally getting back into the groove of having events again. And so I guess what I have to ask is, how does it feel for you? Like, with the pandemic that's been going on, how did you keep yourself busy with events probably not going on as much as they usually would?
So like, I know at the last year too, like I was like an essential worker. So like when I wasn't wrestling. So like, therefore, like I was kind of like doing like more hours at work and keeping myself occupied with that. And then I ended up actually moving up here to Louisville. And so like also there for a while, I was working 2 jobs. So like, just kind of like, it was rough and it sucked. I'm not gonna lie, but like not being able to wrestle. But I don't know. I mean, like everything is slowly like going back to normal. So, and everything is like starting to open back up and stuff. And so that's yeah.
Well, that's awesome, and thank you. You said you're an essential worker, and my mother, we work at a nursing home out here in the same area. So definitely thank you. Your part during these tough times. It's mentally and physically, it takes its toll. It's been a
Yeah.
hell of a past year or so.
Yeah, it was definitely
but-
mentally tough.
Yeah. So next thing I wanted to ask you, actually, it kind of goes back into wrestling. Tell us about who you worked with when you were training to be a wrestler. Larry D, who is now currently on Impact Wrestling. Tell us about him.
So, I started out wrestling or training with Larry D. I was there for a little over a year, training with him and stuff like that, and like getting in the car with him, traveling with him and his wife and some of the other students, like different states and stuff. Even before kind of like I had my first match, I was jumping in the car and stuff and going with him. And so like I learned a lot from him. But I don't really see him that much anymore because I ended up relocating to Louisville. So, and it's like almost about a 2-hour drive from where he's at right now. But yeah, I learned a lot from Larry D. But I have nothing but good things to say about him.
That's awesome. I do have one more question before I pass it back to my buddy Joe, because I know he is an eager beaver wanting to ask. All right, so you've wrestled, like I said when I introduced you, there's a lot of promotions that you have wrestled for over the past couple years, 01 USA, Paradigm Pro, IWA Mid-South, Girl Fight Wrestling. And I ask this a lot to a lot of guests, but it's a question that they all love and I never really get tired of asking, honestly. Is there any promotion that you wrestle for that really stands out for you in any way?
That I wrestle for currently or just
in general in your career, like any of them past or present?
I wrestled for Shimmer last October at the Collective. And so that was a huge opportunity for me. So I would have to probably say Shimmer. And I'm hoping when they like open back up and start running again, I'm hoping that I can continue to work for them as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's been great talking to you so far. But I'm going to pass it back to my buddy Joe, because I know he's so hyped on what's coming up next month that he's got more to ask. So, Joe, back to you, buddy.
I do. So you wrestled for IWA Mid-South, and you were part of the Bad Girls Club. Can you tell us what exactly was the Bad Girls Club?
It was just like a little tag thing that I had going on for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of like a little temporary thing, I guess you could say. So I'm not really much of a tag wrestler. I'm more of a singles competitor. I'm just more comfortable being a singles competitor.
Okay, absolutely. This event coming up in Charleston, it's a really, really big event. What can the fans expect from Kayla Kassidy at Girl Fight?
Are we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, you can cuss.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
we cussed in the beginning.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I try not to cuss too much on podcasts. But yeah, you can expect, so I have like this thing. So you can expect some like bad bitch shit. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a whole thing that I have going on. But yeah, I'm trying to, I guess, get that over.
Nice.
There you go.
I am so excited about this event, and what's it like working with somebody like Madman Pondo? Because I know that he's like the big guy in Girl Fight. So what's it like working with Madman Pondo?
I like Pondo. I like Pondo a lot. He's such a good guy, and he gives me opportunities. So I couldn't ask for more. And it's important to like try to get your reps in. So whenever like he's always like. He likes to give me matches and stuff. So, and even though I've only wrestled for him at like one, I think it was just like one that I wrestled for. But like, I'm gonna continue working for him. I like Pondo.
Good.
Absolutely. And he brings in really good girls too. So,
like Billy Starks, who you've wrestled multiple times.
Oh yeah, I love Billy. She helps me out so much.
Billy and Alice Qualley, she's another one. So yeah, it's absolutely so. You've been watching wrestling for quite some time. How do you feel that women's wrestling has changed throughout the years when you started watching it to what it is now?
So like when I first I was I was like 13, 14 when they were considered like the divas. And they didn't really get a lot of like TV time or ring time. They would only like go like maybe like 5 minutes, something like that. And now it's just like, especially with like the Four Horsewomen, I do believe that they like changed it a lot. So yeah, so it's just like they really elevated, women dressing, and I think that people are taking it more serious because I know, the girls can go just as good as the guys can go.
Absolutely. Women's wrestling has definitely changed throughout the years. Absolutely. I have one more question. I'm gonna throw it back to Jeremy because I know he has a bunch of questions. So you've actually won the vacant women's championship for OVW TV. What was it like winning that championship?
It was fun. I only worked there twice, but like I ended up receiving a pretty bad concussion during like my second match there. So yeah, I had to get that like taken off of me. So like I was out for about a month with the concussion. So yeah, they took they kind of took the title off of me, but like it's fine.
I'm sorry to hear that. All right, well, Jeremy, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. So I had mentioned when Joe and I were doing the high spots about a lot of the local promotions out here in the St. Louis area. And I had mentioned one that you seem to be familiar with is St. Louis Anarchy. Tell us about your familiarity with St. Louis Anarchy. See, I love the big smile you already got. That's always a positive sign right there.
I'm actually making my St. Louis Anarchy debut July 9th.
There we go.
Yeah. You guys live in St. Louis?
I live in the St. Louis area, yes. Joe lives,
Okay,
in out of nowhere in West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, I think St. Louis Anarchy, it's like kind of like on like it's close. It's kind of like, I think it's in Illinois somewhere, but like it's
it's around
right
the
out.
riverfront area.
Yeah, it's right outside. Yeah, I make my debut there on July 9th. And I remember I used to go there with my trainer Larry because he used to work for them, and and I knew that like ever since I started 2 years ago, St. Louis Anarchy has been on my list of places to wrestle. So I finally got the opportunity, and I'm really excited.
Awesomeness, because St. Louis is like that big wrestling hub. It has been for decades on end. I mean, like I mentioned, we have so many promotions out here. Hell, it's hard to count,
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what was the first, how do I word this? All right. First wrestling show that you recall attending growing up?
I went to, it was WWE. I can't remember if it was Raw or SmackDown. It was a house show. So it wasn't like on TV or anything. They came to Rep Arena in Lexington. And so like my parents would always take me and my sister and my brother. So that was always fun. And I used to go, like every time that they came to Lexington, my parents would try to like give us money to go to that just because it was so fun. I think I've only been to one Monday Night Raw, on like televised Monday Night Raw, and that was an experience. That was fun.
Yeah, I've only been to one as well, and I guess unfortunately for me, it was the episode where Lana and Bobby Lashley started that feud with Rusev.
Yeah, like the little storyline thing. Oh yeah.
I'm a sex addict, and I'm just like, of all the Raws I had to go to, this was the one I ended up going to. But like you said, it is quite experiencing. I've been to an NXT outings when it was at the Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri, which is closer to where I live. And honestly, those non-televised events, I've been to a couple pay-per-views too, but I don't know, there's something more of a wholesome feeling going to those local house shows or, a smaller promotion. You just get a different feeling, and yeah.
Yeah, I have a funny story. So I
Oh,
was
boy.
like, so like I mentioned that Shawn Michaels was somebody that I loved watching growing up.
Yeah.
I went to this house show, and like we were pretty far up there in the bleachers. Like my parents couldn't really afford ringside tickets, so they always got like the $20-$30 tickets.
Okay.
And so like in like this section, there wasn't a lot of people there, and so it was during one of Shawn Michaels' matches. He was making his entrance, and then I swear he looked right at me, and I busted into tears. Sorry.
Oh,
it was so embarrassing.
I mean, what else could you do? I mean, it's Shawn Michaels, for crying out loud. So I don't blame you on that one. That's a wrestler I would have loved to have seen wrestle in person. I was thankful that one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Mick Foley, and technically I did see him on the last night he was an active wrestler, which was the Royal Rumble in 2012, and for him to be out there was just awe-inspiring for me. And it's interesting. You had mentioned about how your family taking you to wrestling events, you and your brother and whatnot. And that's kind of what got me into it. My grandpa, both of my grandpas, tell me stories, except instead of them telling me about Shawn Michaels and Triple H and, Hulk Hogan, they would tell me about Lou Thesz and Gorgeous George and Classy Freddie Blassie. So just a tad bit further back. But if there was one wrestler that you wish you could have seen wrestle in person at a show, who do you think it would be?
It's
a tough no.
I think Edge. I've never seen him wrestle, not in person.
Okay.
Not live. I've never seen him wrestle live.
I don't think. I'm trying to think. If he wrestled at Elimination Chamber 2010, that's the only way I would. I don't remember if he did, but otherwise, I hadn't seen him wrestle either. For me,
I've never.
Without, I would have loved to have seen Ric Flair wrestle. That would have been mine.
Oh yeah, yeah, I like Ric Flair.
My one quick story: my mom actually saw him on a plane back in 1975 or something, and he was on the plane heading to North Carolina, and he was wearing his his robe and everything, and the long blonde hair and whatnot. So, like you said, it's just an awe-inspiring thing when you see the wrestlers that you watch on TV or you idolize growing up. That feeling you get. So yeah, definitely.
That's funny. It's funny that you say that because this was like years ago. My uncle was on a business trip, and he sat like 2 rows, like behind or beside Ric Flair, on his way to North Carolina for a business trip.
Wow.
There we go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Joe, do you have anything to add, my friend?
I do. I'm the only person that's actually seen Edge wrestle. I saw him wrestle Matt Hardy at SummerSlam.
I want to see. I've never seen Matt Hardy wrestle live either. I want to see him wrestle live too.
I'm gonna quickly check the shirt I have. I'm gonna see if Edge wrestled that night.
Jesus. Oh my goodness. So what have you been doing since the whole pandemic happened? Like, are you still, have you been training more, or you've been, just, are you excited that wrestling is finally coming back? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm excited that wrestling is finally coming back after, I'm probably going to start taking more like bookings in June or July. I'm not going to like with my shoulder still like me just coming back from my shoulder injury. I'm probably not going to jump too far into it right now just to be on the safe side. I'm probably going to ease my way back into it for a few months and then
Gotcha.
yeah.
Mhm.
I just want to be safe.
Absolutely. So my next question is, have you ever wrestled Mickey Knuckles, and would you wrestle Mickey Knuckles?
I wrestled Mickey Knuckles. It was in a 6-woman tag match at Girl Fight.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've never wrestled her in a singles match, and I would love to.
Right?
I like
She
her.
is
I like Mickey. She's cool.
Yeah, she is one of the craziest women wrestlers ever. You have no idea how excited I am to go to this event to meet everybody, because I love like women's wrestling. Like, I used to order the Shine pay-per-views like all of the time, because I love like Shine wrestling and women's wrestling. So to be able to go to a women's wrestling like show where it's nothing but women wrestling, I'm like giddy.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It is. It's going to be a lot of fun. So what you find out, Jeremy?
I can confirm through my sources, that being a shirt that's in my closet for 11 years, that Edge did not wrestle that night. Rey Mysterio did wrestle on that chamber, and The Undertaker, but not Edge. And, we talk about like legendary wrestlers we want to see. I had the pleasure of meeting the late Harley Race twice, but checking the comments from our amazing Wrestle Talk podcast audience, Jason Lentini brings up the fact that at Wrestling at the Chase, Harley Race was a frequent wrestler there. So, that's just another one. Meanwhile, Hardcore Hoss, Joe, apparently you're being a Mickey Knuckles remark right about now. In the eyes of our local audio engineer.
I like Mickey Knuckles. What can I say? So what else do you got, Jeremy? You got anything else?
I'm just very glad that we have Kayla Kassidy on. I'm also very thankful that she's recovered from her injury, and like I said before, if there's ever an event where you take a return at, it's definitely Girl Fight, on June 12th at Skateland in Campbell's Creek, Virginia. That is probably one of the most hyped up, independent wrestling events I have talked about and helped promote in a hot minute. And, we talked with Michael Tawney last week and a lot of the other wrestlers that are involved. And honestly, they're all just as you are. And Charlie Kruel will be here to decide for it. So I do have, Kayla, one question for you. One final question. It's kind of more of an offer. Would you like to join the one and only Nightmare Jones and I for a little shoot and shout?
Shoot and shout?
Yes.
You know what that is? So the shoot and shout is quite simple. It's, you said to yourself that earlier that you didn't know if you could cuss on the show, which, look, we're unfiltered and uncensored. So the shoot and shout segment's quite simple. We get about a minute, and we say whatever we want, about whatever we want, and because there's a lot of things in the world that piss us off and need to be said. So it's our chance, it's our therapy, our chance to let it loose. And it helps, If only we said it when Joe had hair, he would have kept that hair. My hair's already starting to turn gray.
So like starting now.
Yeah, I'll go first,
Well-
and then I'll go first, and then the maestro will go, and then you can end us out. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right. So my shooting the shout is the fact that how are you going to get mad that you couldn't put 19 cents of gas in your car? I'm sorry that our gas pumps doesn't allow you to get less than $1 of gas in your car, but for you to come in and start cussing people out because you couldn't put 19 cents in your gas in your car, you need to reevaluate your life and think about things because it's only 19 cents. That's my shooting shout. It kind of sucked, but... All right, Jeremy, it's all yours.
Okay. This look, I love the job in the nursing home. It has its good moments, its bad moments. And with the pandemic, I understand it's hell for families to not see the residents that live there. But you gotta be patient with us. Like, there is only so many workers that are in this nursing home. This goes for any nursing home, not just one work at, but the one anyone works at anywhere. There's only so many workers, so many visits, and so many times. Patience. We are working on it. This pandemic is not something that should be taken lightly. It's not something that just ends. It is a process. I'm thankful that the families are finally able to start coming in and seeing their loved ones. But don't be yelling at us just because you're not able to see them just yet. Get vaccinated, wear a mask, take the proper precautions and the measures. Things will start to get better. I cannot. Oh my gosh, I cannot enforce that enough. Please, for the sake of you, your loved ones, and people around you that you don't even know. Like, it just drives me off the deep end. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Maestro's Shoot and Shout.
All right, Kayla, it's all yours.
Man, I suck at this. Luckily, I've had a good day today. So, I don't know. I don't really have much to complain about today, except for work. Work kind of fucking sucks. My feet hurt. I asked my roommate, Ben Sharon, shout out to Ben Sharon. I asked him to massage my feet, and he said no. And I was like, why? And he was like, I only massage people's feet that I care about. And I'm like, you know what? Kiss my ass. Like, he's the worst roommate ever. But don't tell him that. I'm just kidding.
That's the best shooting shout ever.
I'm just kidding. He's a good roommate.
Wow.
That is epic.
That was awesome.
That is epic.
All right, well,
Oh my
it has
gosh.
definitely been a pleasure, Kayla. There are a couple of things that we need you to do. We would love for
Absolutely.
you to agree to come back onto the podcast at some time because we would love to be able to talk to you a little bit more. And the second thing is to promote whatever shows that you're going to be on and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, of course. And July 9th, since you guys are kind of, well, you're in the St. Louis area, you should definitely come out and watch Anarchy.
There you go.
Hell yeah, we're gonna watch Anarchy. Let's go.
He's gonna watch Anarchy, and I'm gonna be at a girl fight in Charleston, West Virginia, which is not too far from Kentucky. So it's not that far. So absolutely, it's been a pleasure. And is there anything else that you wanted to say before we let Kayla go, Jeremy?
Like I said, it's been a great pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Look forward to having you on again, and most importantly, kick ass when you get back to the ring.
Thank you.
See you later.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Kayla Kassidy, ladies and gentlemen, on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Absolutely. What a great interview. Lots of fun, lots and lots and lots of fun. And we're not even done yet. We still got Charlie Kruel, and that kind of scares me because with somebody with Charlie Kruel, you don't know what you're gonna expect, And
No,
last time she was
not
on
at
the
all.
podcast, I didn't get to interview her, so this is my first interview with Charlie Kruel, so I'm pretty excited about it. And we
Want to
get to
know
talk
the
about
interesting thing?
what's that?
I was my first time interviewing her too, but I can see it in your eyes, Joe. You are way, way more hyped, which is saying something because I'm super hyped. But
Do you know why I'm so
you are
excited?
off the freaking
Do
roof.
you know why I'm so excited? Do you know who she's wrestling at Girl Fight?
I have a guess. Oh, I know exactly who she's wrestling at Girl Fight.
Exactly.
The one, the only, Mickey Knuckles.
Exactly. And we all know that I'm a huge Mickey Knuckles fan, so absolutely.
First
I'm
I heard
so
of it,
excited.
apparently. And, this is what I liked about the Kayla Kassidy interview. And it's something that I realized. Not only do you see her out in West Virginia, I'm going to be able to see her out in St. Louis with Anarchy. So it evens out. It really does.
Yeah, but I can see her first, so ha.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? No one asked you who saw her first, Joe. Gosh. I'm just looking at you, waiting for that Undertaker thing to fall down again, like last time.
Nope, not this time. It's been thumbtacked up there. It's not falling down this time. I could pull on it and it's not coming down. Now I wouldn't want to hang on it because it'll come down, but yeah, we're not gonna do that. So you're gonna get to see the Undertaker staring at you the entire show. Let me tell you.
That's I don't know. I mean, the headphones that you got are kind of blocking it, so that's fine by me. It's better than what I got because with the Maestro moving, all the stuff I usually have in the backdrop, all my wrestling games and posters and stuff, they're at the new place ready for when I get there. And let me tell you, when I start doing these shows over there, it's going to look beautiful. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So the one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the break is, I don't know if you like playing baseball games. Well, I started playing MLB the Show 21, right? And I started doing the Road to the Show. And I have to tell you, I hate pitching. I absolutely hate pitching. And in the Road to the Show, you're not forced to be a pitcher, but it's like so much different from last year's Road to the Show. Last year's Road to the Show, you got to choose where you wanted. You got to play in the two like draft games, and this time it's just, all right, here you go, you're on a team.
If there's one thing I will say about the Road to the Shows in general, I've been on some shitty teams. I'm telling you. I mean, between the Marlins, the Reds, the White Sox, before they got good, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, man, I'm out here in St. Louis. Put me on my Cardinals. Like, come on. Get me on the birds on the bat and let me help it. Then again, they're 9-2 in their last 11 games, so it's not like I need to help them. But I digress. And here's one more for you, Joe. Before we go to break, it's about baseball games. All right. What is your favorite non-MLB The Show baseball game?
Non-MLB The Show baseball game.
If we got the same one, I'll tell you mine after.
You might think that I'm kind of silly for this, but my favorite baseball game that wasn't MLB the show that is not like old school is the Mario baseball game that came out for the Wii.
Okay. I definitely did not see what. No pun intended. That's a curveball because I did not see that one coming. But that is an entertaining game to say the least. I'll tell you mine flat out. Grew up playing it. MVP Baseball 2004 for the Nintendo GameCube. I mean, you could play it on any console, but for me, it was on the GameCube. MVP Baseball 2005 was great too, but 2004 is what I grew up with, and I had so much fun with it. So, with that, now that we know what our favorite non-MLB The Show baseball games are, we're going to take a quick commercial break, folks, because we have an interview coming up later with the one, the only, Charlie Kruel. Stay tuned, folks. The Wrestle Talk podcast will be right back.
Return to the D was imminent. Step into the mic, it's like a brand new lyricist. I'm here to do what should have been done 10 years ago. You can't fuck with me. I'm stepping out the shadow. So walking overloaded, I'm ready to explode. I've lost all self-control. Setting these skills like Highlander, one slice, and I watch the head roll. It's a lyrical kamikaze when I unload on the mic. I'm in everything I see. It's destruction on sight. Watch it sound like a track with no bass. That's a damn beat. Me on the other hand, I'm shattering the concrete, breaking down the doors, demolishing enemies within the opportunities. It's survival. I ain't going nowhere. I got immunity, more calculated, gruesome, and devastating than ever.
Sharper, lyrical spears that pierce straight through the armor. Going harder, getting farther. Keeping the real with hair straight through the charts and slaughter any of you motherfuckers that can't see that we the best MCs, capiche? Slow
It's in my mind frame, just letting loose like I'm spraying with no air. Don't give a fuck who it is or who it is. I'm dropping back and split your wig like it's the weekend. Yeah, feel your face, but it wasn't the cocaine. It was the lead pipe that rattled your brain. Fuck, flipping the script. I'm gonna stop and spit all on it. Got my own rules, got my own code. Come and try me, bitch. Get with it again. Hit with it. I ain't playing around. I'm the type to leave all my competition buried 6 feet underground. Surface we emerge from the depths of hell. I hear him now. Remy's back. Oh shit, fuck my life. Drop the beat and I'll make the world suffer defeat. Ain't no one fucking with the return of the D.
sharper, lyrical spears that pierce straight through the armor. Going harder, getting farther. Keeping the real with hair straight through the charts and slaughter any of you motherfuckers that can't see that we the best MCs, capiche? It's the return of the D.
Hey, wrestling fans, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestle Talk podcast. I am the Maestro, and I have, of course, alongside me, the OG of the WTP, Nightmare Jones. So, I got to show you something, Joe. It's at my work. It is Nurses Appreciation Week, and Workers Appreciation Week in general. I want to show you something. I have not had one of these in a long time.
Ring pops. I see those every day at work. Every single day.
I have not had one of these bad boys in a long time. It just cracked me up seeing those. Like, they brought back elementary school memories. So before we bring Charlie on, we have to give a special shout out to all the sponsors who help make the Wrestle Talk podcast better every single week and put us on an amazing platform such as StreamYard, because, I mean, I'm just going to say it. It is so much more badass with this type of format than just me having to hold on to my phone. I'm just going to say it right now. This is awesome. With that said, our sponsors, of course, are Everything Combat, Kincaid, Esports Bar KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Productions, and, of course, the FWWC. The one and only. And while we wait for confirmation that our next guest is on, waiting for us, I have to ask, did you get the 3-day package, for all 3 events, or are you just attending one?
Oh, I'm going to all 3, baby. I'm going to all 3. I'm going to the 0G tournament so I can cheer on our boy Jake Chris. I'm going to the girl fight so that I can see my girl Mickey Knuckles. Because, I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a big Mickey Knuckles fan.
Breaking news, he's a big Mickey Knuckles fan.
Exactly. And then that same night, I'm going to the deathmatch tournament, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to see all kinds of blood and guts, and G-Vapor's going to be there, and Sack's going to be there, and Jimmy Lloyd is going to be there, and Alex Colon is going to be there, and Akira is going to be there, and man, it's going to be violent, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be absolutely awesome, and every night we're going to go hang out with the wrestlers at the after parties, and you never know what Nightmare Jones is going to get into. You never know.
You really don't. Now, I got to ask. Okay, now we've seen it since we started watching wrestling, which encompasses a long time. The warning about don't try this at home. So, there we go. I got to admit, I tried it at home for years with my friends, backyard wrestling. And what about you? Did you?
Oh, absolutely. We used to do all kinds of wrestling, but we had rules where no power drivers, no power bombs, nothing that was gonna injure your opponent. I remember. Me and a bunch of my friends were wrestling, and one of my friends gets another one of my friends in the sharpshooter, right? And he's only gonna let go if I break it up. Well, at this time, Bob Backlund had came back and he retired. So I looked at my friend and I said, I'm Bob Backlund, I'm retired. And I sat down, and my friend was, I kid you not, was legit, was in this sharpshooter like 5 minutes. He's yelling and screaming, and then his arms are flailing, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm Bob Backlund.
Right. Okay. I got a couple fun stories. I mean, they're rough. I don't exactly like to relive them, but it is what it is. Okay. So one happened to me and one I caused. Okay, so we'll do the one that happened to me first. It was 2006. It was the night of ECW One Night Stand, 2006. And we were outside of my friend's backyard, and one of my friends put me in a pile driver and dropped my head, and it knocked the wind out of me so bad I was kind of gasping for air. And years later, this might be 2010, 2012, I don't even remember the year at this point. It is on YouTube. The name of our wrestling league was the GWS, the Gay Wrestling Society, and what happened was I put them in a. I was trying to kind of do like the AA, the FU, the attitude adjustment, whatnot, and I didn't get him over all the way. So instead of him going over like a big fireman's carry, he kind of just went and he went down. And I was just like, oh shit. I was like, are you okay? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm okay. And let me tell you something. If I'm the first one to die out of my group of friends, they'll probably get the chance to say that story at my funeral. And because they know how much it bugs me. I love them all to death. They're my brothers for life. But I felt so bad about that. But we did this for years, man. We wrestled all through middle school. We had these shows, school lets out. We go over to my friend's house. I mean, and even in high school we would. We did a trampoline, but then we put mattresses together. Actually made a ring out of it. We had titles. We had belts. We recorded these. I mean, and it was a blast. It was a great way for us all to stick together too. And excuse me. We always say that we're going to have one more reunion show. We've been saying that for years. I mean, so who knows if it's going to happen, but I would enjoy it. I definitely would enjoy it if it happened. And I know some of the guys would enjoy it too, but what happens. But, Joe, we had, this, we all would have fun doing that stuff. It's like what the kid says, don't touch this. Well, we'll touch that, it's just that mindset. You see something cool on TV, you want to emulate that. And it was pro wrestling. We love wrestling. So it was just what it was. And aside from dropping my friend on his head once, I don't regret it. I don't regret backyard wrestling.
See, now, when I look at you, Jeremy, you seem to be to me, would be the superhuman type, the guy that was jumping off of trampolines and stuff, going through light tubes and.
Okay, so my name was the Shorty, and I was kind of a high flyer type guy, but my finisher was a leg drop type thing, and no, it was fun, and like I said, to this day, I'm forever sorry for dropping my friend on his head like that. But other than that, we have so many memories. And speaking of making so many memories, I believe it's time we both make another memory tonight because, like we said before the commercial break, it is our first time interviewing Charlie Kruel. I am ready, and I know you are.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and introduce Charlie.
Go
This
for it.
lady, Charlie has been wrestling since 2018. She's the reigning Emerge Wrestling and AWR Women's Champion. She's competed in multiple promotions such as Emerge, Pendulum Pro Wrestling, Zero Pro Wrestling, and Girl Fight. She's competed against some of the wrestlers like Savannah Stone, Billy Starks, Thunder Killy, Haley Shadows. That's just to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to bring on the one and only Charlie Kruel. Hey!
Hey, Charlie, how you doing?
Good!
Doing all right. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Believe it or not too much, actually.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Let me get some headphones.
Poss can work on that or something. Yeah, you're a little soft on the volume. Don't worry, folks. It all gets taken care of.
Does this sound better or?
Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better.
Okay.
But welcome to
Yes,
the
that
podcast.
sounds so much better.
How have you been?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good.
We are really,
Much.
really excited to talk to you about, your professional wrestling career and this event coming up where you get to wrestle one of my favorite wrestlers, and that is the one and only Mickey Knuckles. How excited are you to wrestle Mickey Knuckles?
Well, this is definitely my third time wrestling her, I think. Well, fourth time including like when I was like not even a year in, I wrestled her in a triple threat, but I'm talking about like one-on-one matches here. She's like my wrestling mom in a way. So wrestling her just like it means so much to me because every single time I get in there I learn something new, and it's always a brawl. So this is going to be huge for the both of us. I know it's going to be definitely really huge for me.
Yes.
She just means a lot to me as a person, as a mother in the business.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great match, and I can't wait to actually be there and see this match happen. Now you've wrestled quite a few wrestlers, such as Mickey, Billy Starks, and Thunder Kitty. What was it like wrestling Thunder Kitty?
So it's been a while since I've wrestled Thunder Kitty, but the last time I remember wrestling her, it's always really fun and easy. She's a very character based like I am, so when we wrestle, we don't even have to do a lot to really get the crowd involved and get the crowd to enjoy it. So wrestling her, it's really fun. I like it.
Yeah, I think the only time I saw her wrestle was on a SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken. She wrestled on the SmackDown. So, yeah, Thunder Kitty's a name that's been around for a while now. So, yeah, absolutely. So, my question is, what can the fans expect out of this match coming up in West Virginia on next month?
Definitely a brawl. We're gonna be way different than the other matches you're gonna be seeing on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time me and Mickey had a match at AWR, actually, when I won the women's title. I won the women's title going against her. At the time, it was a vacant title, so I beat her to become the first women's champion. And it's just gonna be like a huge brawl. We're definitely going to fight each other. Sorry. I'm so zoned out because I'm getting off work and I'm so tired.
Mm.
But I'm glad I can be on here with you guys though. But
It's a pleasure having you.
thank you. With wrestling her, it's something new all the time. Like I said before, I always learn something new. The fans of West Virginians are going to be enjoying it completely. Yeah, but it's going to be a brawl. It's not going to be a normal match. It's a street fight. So anything's going to go, and hopefully it's for the title. Maybe I can be Charlie 3 belts.
That'd be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. My last question before I throw it to Jeremy is, can you explain to us what exactly is Escape from VHS Hell?
So I think it was maybe created 2 years ago. So I used to have this Masuku is my mask, my best friend. It's in it, of course. It's one of the main characters in the book, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically because I'm a huge horror movie fan,
Mm-hmm.
and what it is that it's basically myself as Charlie going into all these different worlds of horror movies. Like I was in Michael Myers, I was in Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, all these, but they're for copyright reasons they were named differently, of course, but you know who they're talking about when they're explaining it to them. But it's basically me being the hero going against these villains that are the horror movie guys, like I said, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, whoever. And I read it all and stuff. It's really good.
and it was if I'm not mistaken, one of the members of the Wrestle Talk podcast family, John Cosper, is the guy that made that movie, and shout out to John Cosper. All right, Jeremy, the floor is yours. I know you've been chomping at the bit to ask Charlie questions, so there you go.
Awesome. So you're talking about becoming Charlie 3 belt. I mean, I gotta ask, how do you manage just being Charlie 2 belt? Because you are already the Emerge Wrestling and the AWR Women's Champion. I mean, how do you manage holding 2 different women's championship belts in 2 different promotions? I mean, it's kick ass, I'll tell you that much.
My bag is very heavy. Just with those 2. So adding the third is going to be extremely heavy. Maybe I shouldn't get carried away because Mickey would be like beating me up or whatever, but I would like to become Charlie 3 belts. I mean, maybe we can do something with this. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that. So, like, it just means a lot to me, really, to be a champion at 2 promotions that I love and I look up to, both in my home state of Indiana, of course. With those 2 titles, I can bring in any challenger anywhere around the world to fight me for it because, you know, no matter what, like, I'm going to retain. I'm going to continue being the Emerge and the AWR Women's Champion. I've been the AWR Women's Champion, like, since October, I think. Ooh. So I've been the champion for them for a while. Of course, with Emerge, I just won it Saturday. I've never even, like, for the longest time, I'd never even been a champion. I think I was a champion one other time, and that was for Grindhouse Pro Wrestling. Okay. My home promotion. And other than that, I've never been a champion for anything else. Besides, of course, the Emerge and the AWR Women's Champion. So holding them both at the same time, that's pretty insane. If anybody would want to challenge me for both titles, that would be pretty cool, honestly. But no, like, it's just like I feel like Becky Lynch with both of those titles. I feel so strong. No, I will always find every single way to defend those titles. They're like kind of like my children now to me, you know, like I gotta protect them. And being the champion for both of those promotions, it's like I'm the leader of their women's locker room. I'm the leader of their women's division. I gotta set the example. And, you know, being champion, to some people, it's like, oh, you have a title, you know, it doesn't mean much to some people, but to me, it means the ultimate world, because when I was younger, yeah, it's not like the Raw women's title or the SmackDown women's title or anything like that, but it's they're titles that's a start, and there's titles that will go in my resume, and of course, they're titles that mean the absolute world to me. I'm, of course, the current and also the first ever AWR Women's Champion, and the Emerge Women's title has been held by somebody I love, like Lainey Luck. I love Lainey Luck so much. And she's also held the title before, of course, along with Haley Shadows. I think Kelly Klein has once held the Emerge Women's Championship as well. So, I mean, to follow in those footsteps, it means a lot to me.
You know, I was just thinking, you know, maybe you decide to become a 3 belt champion, just hire someone to carry some of those belts around for you, help you out. Because you don't want it to. Yeah, see, there you go. You don't want it to wear down on the waist or the shoulder. So, you know, make him do a little bit of the work. So another thing I want to ask, you know, your style when it comes to wrestling. I mean, you had some great guidance with becoming a professional wrestler. You know, you were trained under Too Tough Tony, Rudy Switchblade, and Aaron LaMotta. Not just from a technical standpoint, but from a personality and charismatic standpoint. How influential were they in you as a wrestler today?
Oh my. Well, I can say I spent most of my time with Raul. We called him Cheese. Aaron Lamata, Rudy Switch. Not. I'm sorry, Rudy Raul Lamata, of course. He's somebody I think I spent more time with in the ring. Rudy, I started out with. Aaron came in and took over training a lot. And I think I trained more with him than anything. And I think they taught me to really believe in myself and really bring out the person that I wanted to be when I was younger. And they taught me a lot of lessons. Like when I started out, I was following the wrong guidelines and I wasn't listening very well. I was listening to everybody else but them, and I was kind of like in a hole for a bit. They taught me to, always listen and always learn and take everything for granted. And, that's something that will always mean a lot to me from both of them. Those trainers took me in for a long time. People have apparently have told them, like, Charlie shouldn't be trained. She's untrainable. You shouldn't give her a chance. She's not going to be anybody. She's just a waste of time. Just a lot of stuff. And they didn't listen. They believed in me. They pushed me. They pushed me to be great for a long time. Like, nobody besides Raul actually wanted me to hold the Grindhouse Women's title. He was the only one that wanted me to hold the title and wanted me to be the champion there, because I was the first Grindhouse female student. Not just that, but because I did fight long and hard for them to get a women's title. And some people didn't want me to have it. Some people didn't want to believe in me. Some people didn't want to push me, and they thought it was a waste of time and a waste of space. And it was a really tough first year, and they didn't give up on me. They really pushed me. Too Tough pushed me. They're all great guys. So.
Well, I'm really proud of you for, most importantly, not giving up. I've experienced that a lot in my life, where a lot of people doubted what I could do. So, we pushed forward. So I not just respect the fact that you kept pushing forward, but the fact that look at you, you're a 2-time champ. Even if you were 1-time champ, that's still amazing. But the fact that you're a 2-time champion, a dual champion at once, you're basically giving a double middle finger to all the doubters. And it's the ultimate sign. It's not a sign of disrespect. It's a sign of, hey, I made it, and you didn't think I could, but I did. And to me, I think if anything, it serves as an inspiration to those who, not just who want to get into the wrestling business, but just who want to achieve some type of dream, And so, yeah, I admire the hell out of you for that. So definitely thank you in that regard. So my next question I have for you, this one is for those who aren't too familiar with you as a wrestler. You have this personality from where you're a fun and playful wrestler, but explain what turns you into that aggressive, insane enigma. Explain the voice.
So Masuku is my friend. I don't have him with me at the moment, unfortunately. He's in my gear bag, so he hangs out. That's his home. That's his home. He hangs out in my gear bag, and keeps it safe. So right now I don't have my gear bag with me because it's in my boyfriend's car, and he went to the gym, and I'm here, having an interview. So,
right.
I can't go grab him at the moment, unfortunately, but he is the mask that is the voice behind Charlie Kruel overall. They started off like being a mask I just wanted to wear to the ring as something cool, to being a part of me. And so when Charlie wants to be playful, she wants to be fun, and she wants to talk like this, and she wants to be everyone's friend, and she wants to like play patty cake with everyone and play hide and seek and tag, whatever it is that she wants to do at the moment. Masuku is the one that's like, hey Charlie, playtime's over, you gotta get, like, they disrespected you, you disrespect them back. And
Yeah.
he's the voice that turns Charlie's happy, playful self to angry and aggressive little, you know, gremlin or whatever. Like, you know, she's just like, it's like the darker voice in Charlie that tells her like, you need to stop playing, it's playtime's done. And it really will happen, like, I'm starting to get him to be where he like forces himself like onto my face. So like I get like, okay, like I can't play anymore, this is serious, I have to win, I have to win for him, I have to win for myself, you know. And just it's it took years to create to create him and create this persona I've created of myself. I've started actually writing down stuff when I was younger, when I wanted to become a wrestler. I was in school, and I remember they asked what I wanted to be when I would get older. You know how in high school they always say, what do you want to be when you graduate, and all of this. And I always said professional wrestler. Like I always wanted to be a wrestler, and I would write down like what I want to be like and who I wanted to be like. I never had the name Charlie Kruel, of course, until like 2017. I think the name was given to me, but before then, like, I created who I was as a character and who I wanted to be. And I would present it to the class, and they're just looking at me like, okay, like multiple personality disorder. All right. uh, you know, and just, yeah, so Masuku's the dark voice, and I think that I kind of started creating him when I was younger, but I didn't name him Masuku. I actually have named him Masuku off of the Japanese word for mask, which is Masuka, but I feel like people would butcher that name so bad, so I just said Masuku, and people still butcher it here and there, but it's not as bad as Masuka, so it's Masuku. But I try to help ring announcers because I always say that I'm accompanied to the ring by Masuku. So I'm back there like telling them like, okay, it's Masuku, like, you know, so they don't really butcher it. Sometimes they do, and I don't get mad because it's like it's a word, you know, whatever, people get it. But yeah, so I'm glad he could be like in my corner because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like more confident when he's there. It's weird, but it just does.
It makes sense. You know, as much fun as I'm having, and believe me, I am, I can see my buddy Nightmare Jones over there waiting to get back in on this thing. So I'm going to pass it over to him because I know he's got plenty he wants to ask you. So, Joe, go for it, buddy.
I do. So, you've been watching wrestling for many, many years. How do you feel that women's wrestling has changed throughout the years?
Oh my gosh. So I started watching during the Diva era. Of course, the Diva era was the quote unquote like bathroom break, like
Mm-hmm.
we used to call them. Like when I was younger, those were the like the matches, the moments, the segments, all of that. That's what I looked forward to, was the women. Of course. Like even when I would watch it with my stepdad and my brothers, when the women came on, like a lot of times they wouldn't even pay attention. But I would be the one that would like be sitting there like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. They can do all that. Like I want to be that one day. I think I remember my first ever women's match I've ever seen. I can't remember who was, but I know Layla was in it, but I can't remember exactly who she was against. But she was definitely in the match. I just can't remember exactly who she was wrestling or what was going on. I just know she was in the match. And going on in the business, people would look at me, and even like in school, like when I wanted to be a wrestler, when everybody was taking their like, what do you want to be when you get out of high school seriously, I was the like, I want to be a professional wrestler out of all of them. You know, they're over there wanting to be a doctor, a veterinarian, you know, scientist, whatever they wanted to be like, and I was the professional wrestler, and they didn't believe in me. they thought it was a joke. You know, they thought it was gonna like pass.
Mm-hmm.
So like they also looked at me like, oh, you're just so weak, you know, you're like a girl, you know. And I'm, you know, that's actually something that was told to me. My dad, my biological dad, actually once told me like, well, you're gonna get your ass kicked one day and you're never gonna come back into wrestling, you're gonna leave. And I've got my ass kicked 3 years in a row and I'm still here. Ask Nikki. She's kicked my ass, she's gonna do it again, you know. And I'm still here, I'm still standing, still 2-time champ or double champ, whatever, dose, like, you know. And seeing women wrestling now, I mean, I don't even know how to talk about it because it's like, it's something I've always wanted for women.
Mm-hmm.
Women's Royal Rumble, you know, the women's title on Raw and on SmackDown, and the women's tag titles. Like, I've been wanting women's tag titles for like ever, you know, ever since like AJ Lee and Caitlyn were the chick busters in wrestling. I wanted them to be tag team champions, but they didn't have the women's tag team titles then. But literally seeing it now, it just has evolved so much, and I'm just so forever grateful to be in this business that we all love and we all fight for. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into all of this. And you know, women have evolved so much, and to where like people are popping and loving the women. They're like ready for the women's matches. And that's not because they're ready to see tits and ass. It's because they're ready to see good wrestling, and they're ready to see something that they can get behind. And that's me as a character, as somebody that people can just relate to, get behind, love to watch, whether you want to boo her or hate her, you know, she's somebody there. And I don't know, the women's pay-per-view on WWE, I remember watching that made me very happy, made me smile.
Yeah. I remember going to a Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and it was Bayley against Alexa Bliss, which Alexa Bliss is one of my favorite wrestlers, and one of the reasons why is because I don't see very many wrestlers that are shorter than I am, and she's only like 5 feet tall, but Alexa Bliss just kicks ass. I love Alexa Bliss.
I do like Alexa.
I do, yeah, absolutely. So, somebody that's never gone to a girl fight show, what can I expect out of this girl fight show?
A lot of ass kicking. I mean, good wrestling. All these women that are going to be on the show, they're all good. They all need to get the opportunity to get in there and just show what they can do. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to watch the wrestling and the matches and just to see what goes on, you know. And I'm super excited for it. So if you've never been to a girl fight show, I mean, it's not like every other all women show. This is been around for a long time. Pondo really puts his blood, sweat, and tears into the girls and all girl fight, and you know, it's going to be a really good show, and I'm super excited for it.
Speaking of Pondo, what is it actually like working with Pondo? Because I know everybody that I've talked to has said Pondo is absolutely amazing.
He is. I call him Mad Dad. I think every week, literally just yesterday, me and my boyfriend go out to eat with him like every single week. Usually it's a Chinese buffet because that's our favorite place, and they know us. Like when we walk in, they know exactly what we want. You know, drink wise and how many we're gonna have and what table. Like they know. And yesterday though, we went to a place called Ass. Literally, it's called Ass. It's called American Smokehouse Stadium. So everybody calls it Ass. So when me and Pondo talk about it, we always say like, "You want to go eat ass?" And that's so he's a funny guy.
Oh my gosh.
He's one of those people that push me to my limits. And I mean, I'm like his daughter. He's like my dad, and he's somebody that took a chance on me when nobody else would. You know, him and Mickey both, along with another female wrestler named Ronnie Nicole. A lot of them, like, in the business has really put their effort into me and believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. Because, like, my first year, a lot of people didn't want me around. I felt like I wasn't welcomed in a lot of places, and they always welcomed me with open arms. And, you know, Pondo's a great guy, and he really puts his hard work into every single thing he does. So Girl Fight is a huge success, and I'm super happy for him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's
Man.
actually, sorry, I don't mean to cut you
No.
off, but I found this
Go
funny
ahead.
story.
Uh-oh.
So we, me, Akira, my boyfriend, Duke the Nuke, and Lucy the Ref, and also Pondo, were coming back from a show in Tennessee, and we stopped by the Cookout, and which is mine and Pondo's favorite place to go eat when we go travel, especially places that like Tennessee that has a cookout. We always go to the Cookout. And I was in my, like, at the time I used to do the black daggers, like it has in the picture right there. I don't do that anymore, but I used to have the black daggers. So I had that still on me with my makeup smeared, like in my Charlie Kruel face or whatever. And I got my food, and I saw 2 white cars. I knew one was Pondo's and the other one was somebody else's. And I was like, eeny, meeny, miny, I guess that one. And I went to the wrong car. And I was like, Pondo, open up, Pondo. And, like, there's these 2 old couple in the front seat looking at me like, okay. And I actually, like, kicked the door a little bit because, like, usually he likes to fuck with me. So, like, I mean, and these people are looking at me like, who the fuck?
Right?
Like, let's say Pondo. he won't get over it to this day.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely awesome. Those people are probably still talking about that. They're probably like, you remember that crazy woman?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely awesome. Oh, Jeremy, do you have any more questions, sir?
Well, I have one more, but before I do, I once again am going to mention to the audience about the event that we're talking about with Charlie, as well as what we talked about earlier tonight with Kayla. That's Girl Fight Wrestling. It's the middle night of a 3-day event. This will take place Saturday, June 12th at 1 p.m. at Skateland at 421 Campbell's Creek Drive in Campbell's Creek, West Virginia. I mean, Hardcore Hoss is going to be there, and Nightmare Jones is going to be there attending, and I know they're going to be they're going to show up on the next show decked out in gear, probably still hungover from the after partying they're going to be doing, because they're going to all 3 shows. So I'm excited for that, at least for their sake. So, Charlie, I got one last question I want to ask you, and then I'll see if my good buddy Joe has anything before we head into tonight's game show challenge. So, we talk about, especially when you were talking with Joe, about the evolution of women's wrestling, how it went from, just those quick little matches, some of them barely went over 2 minutes, to this big spectacle to where we've had the Women's Evolution pay-per-view, and to where they've main evented WrestleMania, where they've really brought prominence back on women's wrestling. So I think what I have to ask, out of the major promotions, that being Impact, WWE, and AEW, and then New Japan Pro Wrestling, is there any one female wrestler that you would love to take on?
That's a hard question because I can't choose just one. Because I have a lot.
Okay, we'll do 3. I'll move it up to 3. If you have a top 3.
Okay, I can do with that.
Okay, we'll do top 3.
Mia Yim. It's not in order, by the way.
That's fine.
Mia Yim, because ever since I met Mia and did one of her first and I think only seminars she's ever done, I've always wanted to work with her and wrestle her and all that. So Mia Yim is one. I've always wanted to have a one-on-one with Kimberly and Deanna Perazo.
Okay. There. Whew, that is quite the trio right there. So, I mean, awesome. And, like I said, I mean, you've called out basically anybody who wants to challenge you for those titles. I think if Mia Yim just came up to you one day saying, I want to take you on for those 2 titles, I don't think you'd be one to back down.
No, I wouldn't back down at all. I'd be all for it.
That'd be one hell of a match. Well, Charlie, it has been an absolute pleasure. Joe, do you have any questions you want to add, or should we go on to our main event for the evening?
I have one final question, and then we can go on to the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. I know that Mickey Knuckles has been involved in deathmatch wrestling, and Pondo has been involved in deathmatch wrestling. Are we ever going to see Charlie Kruel in a deathmatch?
I have actually done a deathmatch once.
Ooh.
I did a deathmatch against Aiden Blackheart. It was at AWR. You can find it on YouTube if you're ever curious. It's openly on YouTube, also on IWTV. But maybe another one down the road. Maybe if the cards are right. Yes.
Nice. I'm definitely gonna have to look that match up because I love deathmatch wrestling, so I'm gonna have to look it up.
That's awesome.
All right, Jeremy.
All right.
The floor is yours.
Ah, man. Ever since we've done StreamYard, I've been the one competing. So it feels nice to be the one finally hosting. All right. Hardcore Haas, be ready. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Come on, Haas. Oh, come on, Haas. Don't let me down. Play the music. Oh, there it is. Oh, man, I love it. Okay. Welcome to this week's installment of the world famous and internationally renowned Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Now, tonight's contest is for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Contestants this evening, our one only Charlie Bull and the OG of WTP, Nightmare Jones. Okay, so tonight's category is titled Women's Wrestling Champions, in honor of that we have had champions and badass female wrestlers on this show tonight. I will give background information about 3 professional wrestlers who have held women's championships in major wrestling promotions. The first person to get 2 falls out of 3 will win tonight's game show challenge. So, I must ask, Joe, are you ready?
Yes.
I won last time.
He's ready.
You remember?
Charlie, are you ready?
I won last time. I'll do 2. I'll win twice.
Oh no.
I was gonna say she's gonna be double game show challenge winner too. All righty. Question 1. This professional wrestler is a 2016 Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer. She won the WWE Women's Championship in her first match with the promotion. In addition to being the first Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship, he held that championship on a record 7 occasions. This wrestler is also married to professional chef Robert Irvine.
Oh
Name
my
her.
goodness, I know.
Repeat that again. You said that she was a Hall of Fame 2016.
Yep, she was a 2016 Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer.
Okay.
She won the WWE Women's Championship in her first match of the promotion. And she won the Impact Knockouts Championship 7 times, which is a record.
Who is it? I know the answer. It's right at the tip of my tongue.
Okay, I'm gonna Gail Kim.
Yep, Gail Kim is correct.
No.
I knew it. I knew it.
There you go. Joe is hurting himself right now because he knows that he was right there.
It was right there.
Oh man. All right. Here we go. Question number 2. This late professional wrestler was the longest reigning WWF WWE Women's Champion. From 1956 to 1999, she held the championship on 5 occasions. Only Trish Stratus held the WWF Championship, Women's Championship, on more occasions than her. A WWF Hall of Famer in 1995, she was often seen on screen in the WWF with the late Mae Young.
The
Fabulous Moolah.
Moolah.
Oh. Ooh, Fabulous Moolah is correct, but who got it? You know, I think Charlie got that one.
She did. She did.
She did. Charlie, you
Did I?
are the
Yeah,
winner
sorry,
of the
I already
game
got it.
show challenge.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there.
Congratulations, Charlie. You are now 2-0 in the game show challenge.
Exactly. Now she's not only Charlie 2 belts, but she's Charlie 2 Wrestle Talk Podcast champion. Son of a gun.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing of it is, both were right on the tip of your tongue, Joe. So, I mean, you gave it a good effort, buddy. You really did. But, you know, you don't become a double champion by a fluke. That's
right.
the thing. So, our mad props to her. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for playing. But before we let you go, because it's been so fantastic having you on, why don't you tell our lovely audience where they could find you on social media, where they can touch base and whatnot?
You can find me under @CharlieKruel on everything. Yeah, it's Charlie Kruel with a K on everything, and on YouTube you can find my matches under Charlie Kruel Wrestling.
Awesome. All right. Well, I gotta say, I hope you know, I know Joe is a big Mickey Knuckles fan, but I'm pulling for you in this one. So you bring the pain on June 12th, okay?
I definitely will.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to it.
All
Thank
right.
you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the show. Just thank you, and hopefully we can get you back on again, and I'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Charlie Kruel.
Have a wonderful evening, Charlie. Be well.
Yep.
Thank you
Oh,
so
my
much
goodness.
for being on the show.
What a great show. Great show. Absolutely good
Charlie
stuff.
Kruel, ladies and gentlemen, on the Wrestle Podcast. That was awesome. I mean, we had two amazing guests tonight, Kayla Kassidy and Charlie Kruel. We had a Doot and Shout. We had our world-renowned game show challenge. All in all, it was another kick-ass show. And one more time, I must say, I must promote our event that we've been talking about much tonight. That'll be Saturday 12th at 1 p.m. Campbell Lake, West Virginia. It's called Girls Fight. I mean, these are going to be some of the roughest, toughest, most badass female wrestlers inside the planet.
Yes.
I know Joe is looking forward to it. I know Hardcore Hoss is looking forward to it. Hundreds of people that are going to be attending are looking forward to it. It's just, the thing of it is, like we said, it is not just a one-off event. This is a 3-show conglomerate. This is just the second show of 3 days of ass-kicking professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And we have talked in depth for the past few weeks about it. But next week, we're going to be talking about something more in my territory out here in the good old STL about Dynamo Pro. And I'm excited for that. Can't spoil too much. You're just going to have to tune in next week, folks, because we got a lot to talk about next week. It's just been a pleasure this week. And once again, I'm also going to talk about our lovely sponsors who have played such an integral role putting us on StreamYard. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Everything Combat, Cade, Esports Ball KC, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter's Dream Productions, and, of course, WWC. Now, Joe, before we say goodnight, do you have anything you'd like to close us out with?
Just thank
Finally
everybody
close us
for
out with.
coming on. Just thank everybody for coming, for listening to the show. Thank you for supporting us. Your support means everything. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Thank you, the Maestro. Thank you, Hardcore Haas. Both of you all are absolutely amazing. Renee, great dude. Hopefully, can't wait to get you back on here again. And Drake Lee, as much as we all love Drake Lee, we couldn't have the podcast without Drake Lee either. So thank all you all for all your hard work. So that's about it. Until next time.
Yep, this is the Maestro signing off. Peace and love, everybody. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. God bless everybody.
Peace.